So the first thing I did was when I came here, COVID came with me almost. I didn't bring it. I know I came from China. Wait, let me correct that. I didn't bring COVID, but I moved back from China.
Hello, boys and girls, ladies and germs. Welcome to another episode of Kaabil Kahani, where it is our job to bring the stories of founders in Pakistan who are making, as we call, the new Pakistan. These are the people who have the courage to pursue their passion and put their art, put their creativity, put their business sense, put their social media to use to it. And we have so much to learn from them. Today's guest is one of those where about 9 months ago, I went to have sandwich from and I was blown away with the vibe. It was my anniversary and me and my wife went and she was the one recommended that this place is open up with the beautiful Instagram. It looks very fancy. So we walked in and I am a sucker for steak and sandwiches. So I ordered beef brisket sandwich. She ordered pasta and both of us were like, this is the best of this that we have had. It has a special place in our heart, but that's not why we are here. We are here because on Baked Lahore, few months ago, I found another brand that was selling this beautiful, uh, in great bottles, some sauce, some salsa sauce, some another flavoring, this and that. And it's like the brand was called On the Table. Bottles is beautiful. I searched it up, and it was like the same woman who was running For the Table. So I was like, "यार इस बंदी की क्या story है? On the table we have, For the Table we have. There's so much he's doing." And as I went and saw more of her Instagram, I saw that she also calls herself an artist, and she expresses her art through her cooking. She's been all over the place in Philippines, in Canada, have insane experience in cooking, and a lot more that we will discover from her. We will get into her thinking, her mindsets, her ambitions, how she grew, how she got her first customer, or first 10 customer, first 100 customers, all of that. And with that, Rabia, welcome to Kaabil Kahani.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Rabia, you are a bomb of a person. It blows my mind how, according to your LinkedIn, you just graduated in 2016. How is it that in 2016 till now in 2025, you have done so much across the board? What is powering you? Let's start with that.
I think, Alhamdulillah, God's gifted me with a huge passion for this field. And बहुत से लोग, like, they're like, oh, I can't wait to go abroad and do this and do that. So for me, I feel that sense of agency and capability being here. And whatever I dream of, whatever I see, there's something missing, then it's easier to get my footing in. I think just my belief that even Pakistan itself has so much in terms of talent, agriculture, food, history, everything, and art, creativity, and so much as well within that, that there's always something to do. And it's just always even more wonderful when you can impact other people, and that kind of creates a ripple effect, however it may be.
और before we go back into the journey, अभी at present in 2025 आपका दो brands हैं शायद या उससे ज्यादा भी हो सकते हैं सारा कुछ बताना और what is on the table, what is for the table for the readers and listeners, everything that you're doing at the moment, and then we'll go back into the timeline and then come up with all the stories.
So I currently at this point, it's a very interesting time in my chapter and my journey where I have now merged all of the tables into one.
Okay.
Yeah. And on the table, which used to be my catering brand and these condiments, which we'll get into detail about, has now merged with the restaurant that I have, which is For the Table, so that everybody gets all of that experience into one. It also provides me a better engine at the back to do even more projects within this umbrella. So you're going to be seeing a lot of interesting pop-ups and a lot of market testing, a lot of like exclusive dinners, anniversaries, and just different. I'm just sitting right now and thinking of all of the possibilities and constantly writing in my list. So that's what's going on.
और फॉर द टेबल लाहौर फेज 6 वाली में मैं गया था वही ब्रांच है कि एक से ज्यादा है
Phase 3 में. Phase 3 में, inshallah, within the
टीम
year. you might hear a different answer.
राइट राइट पर इंशाल्लाह और जो ऑन द टेबल के कॉन्डिमेंट्स हैं वो भी अब फॉर द टेबल ब्रांड हो जाएंगे कि
हाँ
ओनली फॉर
जी,
द टेबल
हाँ जी।
और वो अब हमें कहाँ से मिला करेंगे कस्टमर्स को
सो अब हमारे बेक पे जो सारे प्रोडक्ट्स होंगे, वी विल सून आल्सो बी लॉन्चिंग अदर आइटम्स लाइक hummus सैंडविचेस, राइस बोल्स, पास्ताज एंड एवरीथिंग। तो ये सब कुछ हमारा फॉर द टेबल के ब्रांड के अंदर होएगा। और मेरा बेसिकली ये सारा इसका नाम ही कुछ इस तरह से है बिकॉज आई वांटेड के जो लोग एक रेस्टोरेंट में आके एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं, दे हैव दैट ऑन द टेबल एट देयर हाउस, and that is what they order for to share for the table for themselves. So अब वो सारी चीजें एक ही हैं, तो जो आप रेस्टोरेंट में खाएंगे, you can even access those exact flavors at home and sort of make it your own and give it your own creative spin.
दैट इज एक्चुअली ब्यूटीफुल कहाँ से आइडिया आया ये वाला एग्जैक्टली ये जो पोजिशनिंग है ना शेयर आपके आई थिंक यू एम्फसाइज अ लॉट ऑन शेयरिंग प्लेटर्स एंड फॉर जो आप कम्युनिटी फील भी एक आ रही है ये सारे कहाँ से वे डज दिस गेट इंस्पायर्ड फ्रॉम
आई थिंक मेरा पाकिस्तान मूव होने से पहले जो थिंकिंग थी कि हमारी इंडस्ट्री क्यों नहीं डेवलप हो रही, हम एक सेंस में वी आर बिहाइंड द ग्लोबल इंडस्ट्री इन टर्म्स ऑफ फूड, एंड दैट इज बिकॉज पीपल आर जस्ट नॉट अवेयर अबाउट दीज थिंग्स। अब एक रेस्टोरेंट बैठ के हजार क्रिएटिव चीजें तो कर सकता है, बट until and unless you provide those flavors within the home, within their own pantry, और एक रेगुलर सी चीज नहीं बनेगी, तब तक मुझे भी वो पावर नहीं मिलेगी टू डू समथिंग इवन मोर क्रिएटिव। तो अब लाइक एक बड़ी सिंपल सी चीज है पेस्टो। अगर हम 5 साल पहले बात करते हैं इसकी, तो किसी को नहीं पता होता। अब हमारी मार्केट में एक नहीं, कोई आई थिंक 10 तरह की मिलती होगी पेस्टोज। सो दिस ट्रांजिशन इज समथिंग दैट रियली एक्साइटेड मी. The sauce category in the culinary field is considered very high up, in the same as जो grill meat करते हैं और तो वो steam भी बहुत होती है. So for me to get to be creative in that area and feed people and provide that level up within their own homes will only allow for more chefs like myself to do more creative things.
एंड आप पॉडकास्ट शुरू होने से पहले बता रही थी द फर्स्ट एवर falling in love experience. Yeah, what was
Yes.
that? How old were you? What happened?
So at that time I must have been 15 or 16, and I was grappling between, where to go in my field and everything. So there was this bookstore I used to go to since a kid, and I used to do piracy, and I used to take like photos of the cookbooks and go take it home and try to cook these things. So उधर ही बैठे हुए I came across a very premium Itni Moti by Heston Blumenthal. He's a very, very famous chef, and he shared the first course, which is in his restaurant, which is like a ball that he kind of cooks in dry ice and liquid nitrogen. So about smoky, smoky होती है. You put it in your mouth, it disappears and it blows smoke out of your nose. And it reminded him of जब उसको तैयार होना होता था, कोट टाई पहन के उसकी माँ उसको दांत ब्रश और माउथ वॉश करवाती थी. सो जो भी वो रेस्टोरेंट पे पहली चीज खाता था, उसका फ्लेवर वो मिंट मिंट और उसको वो हाँ करता था, तो धुआं निकलता था एज अ किड. And that storytelling element, that memory aspect, ये सारी चीजें to bring it together in a product that a person can feel, touch, taste, hear, everything was pretty magical. So I sat there as a kid and I cried because I felt like God was sending me a message, kid, this is what's meant for you. I'd never connected so deep into something like that. So उस मौके से फिर मैंने कहा thank you to everything else. This is where I will be for, inshallah, for as long as I can.
And then next step क्या होता है उसके बाद यूनिवर्सिटी आती है लाइफ के अंदर where how did you end up pursuing it further?
So I grew up in the Philippines, and it is also kind of a tourist
Wow.
destination.
Which part of Philippines?
I grew up in Manila, the capital, and
Yep.
it is really dynamic, very international, a tourist hub and a commercial hub. Very similar to like Hong Kong or like Kyoto in that city sense. So there was a lot of things going on, and एक बचपन से desire थी to be in cooking. So I actually started working in a hotel. My first job was when I was 12 and a half or 13, and I worked through almost all of the five-star hotels in the Philippines, only to realize that it wasn't really meant for me because hotels is like you cook in a huge bulk amount. तो वो ना आपको वो अंदर से वो feeling नहीं आती because you're just doing the same laborious task. And I'm young, I'm fresh, I want to learn all these things. So I then shifted on to different restaurant experiences. Magar my parents being desi and my dad, of course, valuing classic education too, and me respecting his journey that allowed him to, come to what he did. He said, "Beta, university kar lo, phir jo karna hai karo." So साथ I did University of Toronto, which was in political science and management. And साथ I used that opportunity to work through lots of restaurants in Toronto, different soup kitchens, charity places, churches, homeless shelters, whatever could I could come. I'm a shisha bar. I've done very random jobs, whatever I could come my way, maintaining the legal 2 and 3 hour limits. Um, and
Yeah, no, it doesn't work when you are taking cash in hand.
I I didn't say anything. But yeah, other than that, I then, of course, after attaining my education, I continued through to culinary school. That was in Dubai. And I did a shorter course there because I had previous experience. I graduated with excellence from there. And I moved back to Toronto, was working through the industry, became a head chef there. Then moved to China, where my parents had then moved to. And in Beijing, I got really bored, so I wanted to get a job there. That transformed me as an individual because obviously now I think we know they're on a whole another level. So just getting that realization to how powerful our own continent is, and then even understanding the history of China and Pakistan and all of these things. And then finally moving to Pakistan, launching with fast food and now with on the table for the table. So altogether, it's been like 15, 16 years for me.
And this is coming, launching in Pakistan was pretty much the first time in your adult life that you've actually lived in Pakistan properly.
Yeah, yeah, because I moved away when I was 4 years old or five, so I didn't get it much of it. I do give credit to my parents for maintaining that connection and bond.
Hmm.
Having now I can read Urdu and speak Punjabi when needed and everything, but
How much of
still,
how much of Tagalog?
instead I learned a little bit of Tagalog, and then afterwards I learned Spanish and French instead. So मैंने कहा कि
Right.
पता नहीं यहाँ पे रहने देंगे या नहीं आगे भी काम आनी
I
चाहिए.
think Spanish is the second language in Philippines as well, no?
Yeah,
Spanish काफी बनती
they got colonized by Spain, so even a lot of their words
है.
match Spanish.
I
So,
have spent about 16 days backpacking through Philippines some time
oh,
ago, and it started
that's
from
awesome.
Palawan Islands. So
Oh,
very Palawan, Puerto Princesa. Then I moved, came to Manila. I was also running an event in University of Manila. So वो उसकी भी एक बीच में वो भी एक
damn.
reason थी. Dived in Boracay and Ariel's Point से cliff jumping की. उसके बाद took the bus all the way to Batad and Banawe, the rice phase. So
Yes, yeah.
it's been a very memorable journey, and I can experience the vibe जो आप Makati city के अंदर Manila के अंदर भी एक vibe थी, very dynamic. It was still about 8 to 10 years ago, I think, when I did this, but it was insanely dynamic.
Yeah.
And Philippines has just it has been a great story. Last 15 to 20 years, the hunger and ambition and that's a very different, like everybody in that society. एक मुझे Philippines और एक वियतनाम, इन दोनों के अंदर मुझे जो hunger to
Hmm.
grow नजर आती है वो ज्यादातर वो बहुत rare है, because they were at one point in time lesser economically developed countries than Pakistan, both
They're
of
both
them.
post-war colonized countries that
Yeah.
really brought their identity out. But they maintain such, both of these countries maintain such immense level of hospitality and positivity that
Oof.
it's very unusual.
It's unusual. Philippines is
Yeah,
number one. In all the places that I've been to, Philippines is unmatched in terms of hospitality, and especially there was a
yeah.
incident as well where our my friend's passport got lost in the tuk tuk that we were taking. But पुलिस वालों ने उसके बाद हमें गाड़ी में बैठाया और हमारे साथ 3 घंटे फिरते रहे हैं पोर्टो प्रिंसेसा में, पलावान आइलैंड्स पे, जब तक उन्होंने हर टुक टुक नहीं देख लिया कि आपका पासपोर्ट किसके अंदर होगा.
Wow.
नो रीजन, जस्ट बिकॉज दे लाइक यार आप हो टूरिस्ट तो आप हो, हम करते रहेंगे, हमारा काम है,
Yeah.
वी लव डूइंग इट. सो एक अलग ही लेवल चल रहा है वहां पे.
Positivity बहुत है.
सो आपका साउथ ईस्ट एशिया हुआ, फिर आपका वेस्टर्न. cuisines and Western culture, also French, of course, Toronto के अंदर experience. फिर आपने Middle East में काम किया, फिर China, which is a whole other vibe altogether. So पूरा करने के बाद जब तक आप पाकिस्तान में आ रहे हो, so you're already like you were like you found that you have insane level of let's say mastery in your craft. How and the confidence level. How do you describe yourself when you were moving to Pakistan?
I don't think that I had that position very honestly to feel like I was a master of the craft. And even sitting now, I don't really say that I do. I'm still very young and fresh. And yes, I've mastered a certain sense of my craft, but I always see myself as a cook. That's why my page is called Rabia Cooks. It's not Chef Rabia. I'm the chef of this restaurant, but I still was feeling like I just wanted to connect with more chefs here. And my drive in Pakistan was to kind of progress the palette forward or be a part of that movement. जो कि अब आ रही है और it's gonna grow, it's gonna ripple out even more. अभी तो हमने देखा ही नहीं है क्या होना है. So I really wanted to. I would feel like I would regret it my whole life if I wasn't part of that journey here. So that is why I was doing everything.
When were you and where were you when you decided okay, it's time for me to go to Pakistan and pursue this passion that I have?
I think it was when I was in Toronto. I would go to work as the head chef at an age of 23 or so. And I felt like I had perhaps taken a jump too far, too senior for the position that I was at. So at that point, though, many people may see it as innovative, I really want to push myself forward. I really want to grow and expand my knowledge. Even now, sometimes that's a challenge, right? Because it very few people that I want to learn from here. But at that point, when I was just jumbling around my bag of tricks, as I say, I was like, at this point, I'm seeing stuff happening in Pakistan. I'm seeing, okay, oh, there's a culinary school here now. There's this, there's that, this restaurant. Wow, this menu is interesting. So I could see that market change. And then it just became very frustrating for me to be there feeding the people that didn't care about me, that could replace me, that, as an immigrant, as a continued immigrant, constantly living in that situation, to being like, it at the end of the day, how much will it really matter in the grand scheme of things? So that was just an everyday push to just kind of make a step. And when the immigration stage came to take the next stage of your immigration where you submit certain things, it was like dead of winter. I was like, I don't know if I want to be here forever. And I did challenge that. I think for a lot of Pakistanis, whoever is listening is like, don't think that just leaving is the end all be all. This entire continent has a lot more going on.
And when generally speaking, the world was, and mostly Pakistanis are also looking outwards while in Pakistan, sitting in Pakistan and want to escape Pakistan. What were you looking at generally where you were like, यार ये तो जैसे आपने अभी भी बोला कि ये तो अभी आ रही है मूवमेंट ये बहुत बड़ी होनी है. So what is it that you were looking at that most people are not looking at?
The so first, like, and I always claim this, that I did have an element of privilege, being able to come back into a safety net, having my family here and everything, and not everybody gets those chances. However, being in the position that I was, the greatest advantage, and you see this very often if you think in any field, is taking advantage of the immense market gap that exists right now, because our local product is here and our expectation is slowly growing over here, and this is where the world is currently operating at. I'll give you the exact example which led me to launch on the table is when I went to the grocery store and I looked at Caesar dressing from American Garden, French mustard from American Garden, right? American Garden is like the dollar store homeless brand of bodega brand of America, right? That's not a premium brand. Why is it in a premium service? I turned the bottle around, chemicals, 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 chemicals. And I just was like, okay, there's a huge gap. People want this, and we're relying on the bad quality imported brand. All you need is a person like me to come in and make the dressing. This is all over here. So that is really in any field when we see this progression happening, it's because there are people who are returning back because they see that advantage over there. And rationally, it makes sense to therefore work in that field.
And when you were coming back, the first goal, the first product in your mind, was it catering? Was it your condiments? Was it the restaurant? What were you thinking of for how I'm going to enter the market? What is the first thing?
So the first thing I did was when I came here, COVID came with me almost. I didn't bring it. I know I came from China. Wait, let me correct that. I didn't bring COVID, but I moved back from China at the
अच्छे
same
टाइम पे
time.
अच्छे अच्छे टाइम पे निकल गए, फंस जाना था चाइना में 1 साल के लिए.
हाँ हाँ बिल्कुल. So वही हुआ and it was I had planned to do all of these things, you know, these fantastical flavors, and I'm so glad that this whatever happened did, you know, because what happened internationally was the best restaurant in the world shut down, the best one, and it's
And
called
which one?
yeah, it's called Noma. It's in Copenhagen. And it's like 1.5 year waiting list. And they couldn't even sustain themselves past 2 weeks. What did they do? At the end of the day, they started to sell two products, one vegetarian, one non vegetarian classic beef burger. And it was such a shock to my system. It was like, well, if they can do that, I mean, like they were like, you know, that like they really came down to what their actual thing was at the end of the day. It brought a really humble lesson for me. You know, why don't you start from here and just see the market, introduce yourself on the local market? So I started this brand called Hot Sandos from my house. And from that, I built some interesting sandwich flavors, which you would really love. And its signature item was the Nashville fried chicken burger. I believe I was the first one to do it in Lahore, and it went crazy. And that, which started, to be very honest, as a time pass COVID business that I thought I'd do. I used to bike to people's houses to deliver it within my colony. I was like, this will be great for my livelihood and mental health, you know. Turned out to be this brand which was I was running from my house doing 150, 170 burgers, and people were thinking, oh my god, it's this restaurant. They'd be like, ye ghar. So that was my first introduction to Pakistan, and it was a lot of fun, a lot of fun.
Amazing, amazing. So there is a proper chapter, proper journey before for the table as well. So it started with hot sandos, running from your own kitchen and taking
Yeah,
orders via Food Panda or some other method.
I didn't even go to Food Panda. We didn't have the capacity for it. It was straight up just people calling me, and people thought that they were. Look, when you're selling 170 things, realistically, you would think that there's like maybe 4 or 5 people working here.
Yep.
It was me and one guy, and me on the phone wrapping the things, tossing the things, making it. Fryer balcony में है, kitchen अंदर है, भाग दौड़ रही हूँ मैं. It was
Dude,
crazy.
we really need to go further deep down into this. Is amazing. So we are talking about 2020 at the moment or 2021, roughly. Kab hot
2020,
sandwich start.
2021 के अंदर, yeah,
Or
yeah,
so you the recipe of the sandwiches, this you had already figured out in your life before as well कि आपको किस तरह के sandwiches बनाने हैं. So you knew what you're going to bring. And I think pretty
yeah.
much Pakistan के अंदर, as you said, didn't even exist ये वाला sandwich. तो सबसे पहले, all the things, how did you do the naming, the branding, and the menu? कैसे decide हुआ? Did you just sit on the drawing board and started coming out with one thing after the other? कैसे हुआ? How do you start the inception story of Hot Sandos?
Hot sandals, I didn't want to. It's so simple. I didn't want to do cold sandwiches, and I didn't want people to eat them cold. And there was no other way to tell them to eat a sandwich hot than call it hot sando. That is the actual logic behind it. It had to be really direct. कि like garam sandwich hai, please garam khao. So that was the literal name of the brand, and that was my first experience in branding. And I actually used simple tools like Canva to produce it. And actually, moving forward from there up until date, all the branding of all my projects has been personally done by me. The entire menu designs and the continuous menu designs, which I do for consulting and for myself, smaller projects. I like to do that myself because I think it's nice to maintain other talents and interests.
Amazing. I think also a good lesson for everybody here reading and listening. Canva is a powerful tool. A lot
Hmm.
of things you can get done in Canva without uh, trying to hire a branding agency or hire a designer, this and that. So I mean, as long as you're putting your own passion in it and your basic understanding of how to use Canva, I think we can figure out very good. So Rabia, यहाँ पे आपका launch होता है, but what is a launch like? What is your launch? कि launch क्या है? Is just decided randomly? आज का पहला दिन है, मैंने sandwiches बनाने हैं, कैसे बिकेंगे? Take us back to that time. What was
Oh
happening?
God, that was so funny. It was literally just like, okay, up flyers, because was really testing only my colony at that time, and I distributed it, and we were just like, किसने order करना है आज ही आज, and then like three orders came. We're doing dinner, and the first order was actually kind of adorable. My whole family helped me because we were eating dinner, not expecting anything, and it was just a chaos of running around, getting everything done. Uske baad se it just sort of flowed and flowed, and you just have to. Usi baat pe what you were saying and encouraging. I think one of the most solid advices I got in my life. It was just through watching some entrepreneurial TikToks. But this lady said, never wait until your last packaging to launch your brand. Never wait until you're satisfied with your packaging to launch your brand. And I really stuck to that because I felt like if I just held back, oh, nahi, nahi, ye nahi hai, it'll never be perfect for what you want. You're your worst critic. Everyone is. So I just was like, okay, go, and I'll see and I'll
Amazing.
modulate as it goes. So long as I believe in the product, it inside, the outsides, even the marketing, all of those things can come into play. So long as what's inside is what I believe in.
Do you have a memory of how many pamphlets you printed the first batch and how many? Yeah, for context, which colony in Lahore that is?
Tech society.
हाँ ठीक है, कैनाल रोड पे टेक सोसाइटी हो गई, आई थिंक अबाउट 2000 houses roughly, 1 to
Yeah,
2000 maybe around that. So what did you do, like कितना आपने pamphlets बनाए?
we
I
did
have
just
an
like
idea.
200 or maybe 300 pamphlets, something like that, and I sent my driver. I was like 10 rupees per pamphlet, not really expecting
Well,
anything. It was so like people thought it was so like crazy legit. And this is funny, by the way. My When I was cooking from the kitchen, my kitchen was upstairs, and the delivery has to be downstairs. लोगों को आता था वो डिस्पैच हो रहे हैं, उनको ये नहीं पता था कि शेफ राबिया एक बाल्टी के अंदर रस्सी से नीचे जा रहा है, रस्सी से ऊपर आ रहा है. But you make it work, and it grew to Alhamdulillah. All these things led to where I am now. Um,
definitely it is. That is why having sharing these founder stories is like we've made it our focus within the Kaabil brand. QK 99% of all the people that we know who have passion for something, they are not able to go out in the market because they just have either doubts of themselves. They think that they have to learn the business model, learn to understand the roadmap, scalability, वगैरह वगैरह. They need funding, so on and so forth. And the
hmm.
more we going down into your story, you had that spark के मुझे ये चाहे मुझे एक सैंडविच अपने किचन में बना के क्यों ना देना पड़े और अपनी ही सोसाइटी में अपने नेबर्स को नहीं देना, आई नीड टू गेट आउट देयर, नीड टू हैव द फर्स्ट ऑर्डर कमिंग इन. So first order gets delivered. Great feeling. Like yes, first order of the of the hot
Yeah,
sandals.
yeah. There's like a
Okay.
picture of it and like a little
Yeah.
piece of the wrapping paper. I still have it.
So that is very important. That is very important.
Yeah.
Uh, 2017 के अंदर ना I left my job and I started my first online brand. And उसके अंदर एक first, I remember very specifically, it was September of 2017 कि किसी ने $47 की एक मेरी गाइड बुक ऑर्डर की ऑनलाइन और ऐसे ईमेल आई $47. उसकी स्क्रीनशॉट पड़ी हुई है आज तक कि मेरी किसी ने गाइड बुक खरीदी है. Somebody trusted me enough to buy a guide book I produced for $47. That was like the game changer moment. So
Yeah, it is.
I totally understand कि जब ये फीलिंग आती है ना, जब पहला कोई नई चीज आप लेके आ रहे हो और कोई पहला ऑर्डर जब प्लेस करता है ना, वो अलग ही फीलिंग है.
Definitely, definitely.
उसके बाद do you remember how did you reach first 100 customers of hot sandals, let's say? Was it more of the same कि कुछ और भी चलना शुरू हो गया method?
I think when we moved towards defense in the middle stage of that business, that really helped being within the market. And then for me to just be a little getting on the trends within the marketing realms, picking up on subcultures and
Oh, Fariha, अच्छा हाँ उन्हीं का है ठीक है.
sorry, I'm
Yeah,
back.
so you're saying moving to
Handy. Then
defense,
just
picking up the
defense, picking up some marketing tactics, and then just slowly innovating the menu and setting it down. Because obviously, what we started with initially and what we got to towards the end was progressing as we went along. So that was really cool. I started to do monthly things. I thought I'd do monthly product school ones. And then people were like, why is this not available forever? So we actually started to build a lot of the menu through that form of testing.
right. And how were customers or people getting to know about hot sandals at this time? एक तो पहला वाला तो pamphlet वाला मॉडल था टेक सोसाइटी वाला, उसके बाद
Yeah.
कैसे लोगों को पता चल रहा था कि ये भी एग्जिस्ट करते हैं?
So uske behind, me not being a marketing expert that well, I realized that doing these tactics, hand-on-hand tactics were not as effective as online marketing. So I just used Instagram as one mechanic, build up some reels for the other element of things. And then Alhamdulillah, it was a lot of word of mouth and good customers and having that at that point that, first movers advantage with certain products was very very useful for us at that stage. So instead of but at the point it was just like to further out the journey, I felt that this could not operate realistically from a house anymore, and it didn't make sense for me as an individual with that so much experience to just be flipping burgers at the end of it. So I had to kind of pause it at its peak at that point, knowing that I don't want to kill the brand. If it's going to be 200 tomorrow, I don't think I can give the same quality as
Right.
100.
Yeah, even 100 plus orders a day, and if you are the person doing it, कैसे manage हो रहा था? तो बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाता है. So it's already
So
too much.
it is, but when you're a chef, it's very different. You're very used to it. I kind of miss that adrenaline of it all a lot. So
Hmm.
like I'm realizing now, being in Pakistan, that there's a lot of division of roles, and people don't want to do this because they do that and everything. So I was used to doing all tasks. Everything. When you work in a kitchen in Canada, suppose, or in China, you do everything. And you do everything at a very coordinated pace. When things move like this, they're working very perfectly. Like वो chicken निकल रही है, इधर assemble हो रही है, बीच में उसके वो दूसरे order का sandwich बन रहा है. So things when they seam in, it's the best.
Oh, right, right. Yeah, because of your experience, you were able to understand the nuances, and because of that, you're able to scale up your own productivity as well. How do
Yeah.
you get it? So at this time now, Hot Sandos, you know it is working in a certain zone, and you're already starting to think about for the table brand or on the table brand. When did they start appearing in your mind?
So after, like in the sense of closing Hot Sandos was that transition of, I think I want to move into the condiments line and the catering line now. Having done this brand, that'll be where it is. But I feel like this will be closer to what I want to do. And I was seeing some diversification of products at Al Fatah, at, this baked opening with all these things happening. So I wanted to enter that market and test those places I didn't know. I was still in the regular fast food industry at that point. So I closed it, I opened up on the table, and it just started to work first as a catering. From that, naturally you build up a customer base. They want charcuterie boards, cheese platters, this, that made. So it flowed into catering itself. And again, it was literally all word of mouth. We didn't do paid marketing for any of it. I did also want to operate just within an exclusive branch. I didn't want to step into the wedding industry at that point. So again, that gap that nobody was catering to the 20 to 30 people tea party side of things. So just moving
Right.
directly to that. And For the Table came along at the time between a partnership of myself and Rena's. And this place we used to initially be their first branch, and then they moved to the corner, having this space available. And together, they needed somebody, in the food place. I needed a place, so it kind of worked out together. And we were thinking about a bunch of different names, and the way I enjoy to eat is like order a lot of things for the table and share it. So naturally, because वो table चल रहा था, so we included this, and both of these operations then started to work from this business. And now, Alhamdulillah, we are independent. So it's just my own project, which means I've recently merged it and expanded it. And now we're doing a whole host of services, which is very exciting for me.
Insane. Uh, when on the table का आप catering plus अपने condiments लेके आ रहे थे market में, तो उस वक्त भी paid marketing नहीं की. तो what, if you have to look back now, what were some of the things that really, like, how were you able to get the first few customers or the first 50 to 100 customers, different people? What worked there?
So in that, I was able to use my platform just as a chef quite easily in that, because like I was giving those products, right? So providing those back end recipes, how to utilize those products, was very useful. Using visual tactics, like up until date, my best sold product from that is the chili swirl garlic dip. So instead of making a chili garlic dip, I just mixed it so you can see the oil swirling through the product. So that's just visual branding elements and marketing that works. That worked. I did that with pesto. The same thing. Instead of having a pesto creamy sauce, you just kind of swirl it together. I did that, and then I was happy to learn that a lot of people had built um, that reliability with me. I used to share some recipes through COVID and all of these things. So people were like, okay, she's building these things for us to share and for us to learn and to have. So for that, I'm grateful.
हाँ, I also think कि आपने although let's say on the table का अपना Instagram page तो जितना किया लेकिन जो Rabia Cooks का आपका main personal brand था, that itself was becoming a bigger thing. So
Hmm.
people were resonating with Rabia it's herself, because people can see who Rabia is, how her mind works, what does she do in the kitchen, वो कैसे innovate करती है, कैसे, or because of your own Instagram, your own presence, your content was actually, I think, putting up, it still does, it puts up a lot of authority behind everything that you do. Have you experienced that from your own Instagram presence you're getting a lot of sales for your own brands?
Yeah, of course. I think I do feel a little more comfortable sharing that content first on my page than going out and representing the brand itself, because that's a greater part than just me. So when I'm doing these new things, particularly little bit innovative things or things that maybe I just care about and I want to kind of share in my own way, then I do utilize my own page. It just feels that I can just get closer to the person. They maybe know who I am. They maybe know where I'm coming from, and I built that sense of reliability. We forgot to mention this, but within COVID, when I was sharing recipes, so I was using very extremely simple ingredients to make very restauranty food. With that, I was sharing a lot of knowledge that at a time of need really helped people. So that element really brings it till now, even till now. And I can, sort of market myself in a way that feels realistic, because I don't do unrealistic marketing and I'm very straightforward about that. I've just kind of used it as a journal for my experience keeping, and less so as a way, as a marketplace or influencer marketing.
Yes, one of the things that is most not looked upon by people, but is most powerful thing, is that people learn something from you even when they're not your customers. And I see a lot of your Instagram page actually teaches people something, whether that is, as you're saying, recipes or anything. So even though they've not purchased anything from you yet, their mind has this connection with you कि इससे मैंने जिंदगी में कुछ सीखा हुआ है, तो उसकी वजह से whenever we learn something from somebody, जैसे even that TikTok entrepreneurial reel that you learned from, that
Yeah.
TikTok reel always stay in your mind as यार कुछ तो सीखा उससे. तो आपका जो पेज है, the best thing that I think you have done uh, on your brand authority and why people like your brand so much is that even when they consume anything that you put, they उनकी जिंदगी में थोड़ा सा 1% कुछ नया ही मिलता है उनको सीखने के लिए. I think that is a very important thing that most people who are using social media to grow are not able to tap properly. It's not all about menu sharing and opening and stuff. It's actually कि लोगों को कुछ सीखने को मिले लोगों को, and then they
Hmm.
become fans for life. I think
Hmm.
within that, you can share better if it resulted in any good outreach for you. But you also conducted, let's say, an online Ramadan cooking class. I think
Yeah.
that's a fabulous thing, right? That's one of the best things we can do as modern new Pakistan or new age founders is you can basically organize a coffee brewing class for a double shot or a brew bar, somebody who's running a coffee brand, because people absolutely love it, and this is one of the best ways to build a long term engagement with brands. So, आपका कैसा experience रहा in online cooking classes का?
जब मैंने शुरू-शुरू में किया, मैं बहुत थोड़ा-सा नर्वस थी एंड आई कैन इवन रीड द डिफरेंस इन एनर्जी व्हेन आई लुक बैक एट दोज़ रिकॉर्डिंग्स नाउ। आई थिंक वो एक बड़ा मेरे लिए ना मेरी डिज़ायर है कि मैं हज़ार टेक्निकल रीज़न्स बता सकूँ कि मैं ये क्यों कर रही हूँ इस तरह से। एंड हैविंग दैट एवेन्यू कि यार लोगों ने पैसे दिए हैं मुझसे बोलने के लिए, so it was like really cool and I was able to kind of share more and then obviously through that just be more myself. So I really, really enjoyed that. And even till now, that's the learning and the mentor element is very strong within me. And ये जो अब January 1 है तो बहुत reflections होके I can say कि that community building aspect has become something that provides me a greater sense of joy, because I feel like if we don't all transition, nobody can one go and have and sustain that success. So wherever possible, whenever I get to help other people learn, and it's such a personal field, right? Somebody wants to learn because they're coming into a new marriage house. Somebody wants to learn because their partner has had a lifelong illness or something. So you're really entering people's homes in a very personal way. Them opening that avenue for you, letting you direct a very, very important part of life for them is a role you have to take very seriously. And if you can open up and be yourself in that, then it's a huge blessing for me.
I mean, I think you have touched on something really good, because this community aspect is something that we hold very dearly as well. Because what has happened is that late after 2015, and then most went into peak during the COVID time, because social media came into everybody's hands. And what has happened is that by 2023, 2024, it's like people's watch time is between 4 to 6 hours a day, and they are most lonely than they ever are. Everything to
Hmm.
do with anxiety, depression, cheap dopamine
Hmm.
hits is all time high. Mental health is completely all over the place. And we realized, a lot of people in the world are realizing, that the biggest thing that has happened is that we all got connected, but we all became totally alone. And the opposite was that we were operating in communities, we were operating in universities or groups of friends or group of colleagues. And because of remote work and everything, this also within the university experiences for the kids, and post life in professional life as well, people have just become absolutely lonely.
Yeah.
So when you build focus on community now, that some people are coming together for a shared love of certain thing, and it could be just learning about different cooking and sharing about their things, that is almost like that is a favor you're doing to people, rather than people paying you to join your community, because they are on themselves, they are feeling like, yeah, chalo shukar hai, koi to kahin to sense of belonging aaye ki something we can do in a shared activity together.
Hmm.
Very much like sports as well, right? Anybody who joins
Yeah.
sports clubs, they feel that they are
Yeah.
part of a gang now. The boys, this is my people. These are people we want to go on war with, or do things together. So that
Yeah.
feeling that
Yeah.
you can build around your culinary experiences or cooking learning or this and that is a game changer. And I'm very happy to see that you're going in this direction.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I was just reading a research last week that when you eat, food is actually digested better when you are in a table with a community of friends or family. When you are alone, your glucose spike is higher and your nutrition is not exactly absorbed in the same way. So that just speaks to how intrinsically our bodies require each other. As much as we try to be the independent, whatever, girl or guy who don't need no other girl or guy, like we all do actually need each other. And that's been a huge lesson for me. So in that, if we can bring that sense of positivity and that community aspect and then learn and engage each other, that is going to be only beneficial to everybody.
100%. And you're right, evolutionary. food has always been just a communal experience because food was scarce. So whenever the food was hunted or the crop was taken out, it was only supposed to be eaten by people together because ऐसी तो convenience ही नहीं थी कि आप अपना फूड पांडा से ग्रैब फूड से कहीं से
Hmm.
ऑनलाइन ऑर्डर कर लो आपके कमरे में आ जाएगा विद योर नेटफ्लिक्स ऑन. तो फूड वाज नेवर
Exactly.
दिस. So it has always been evolutionary. Our brains are wired to have it as a communal experience. जिसको अब हम replace करते हैं अकेले बैठ के Netflix लगा देते हैं ताकि थोड़ा feeling आए कि we are doing some
Yeah.
activity while eating food. क्योंकि सिर्फ खाने को देख के खाना आजकल कोई भी नहीं खा रहा होता. So that community, the communal experience, we are replacing by content experience, which is not the
Exactly.
same. Of course, it is a very unhealthy dopamine spike, which I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure a dopamine spike would completely fluctuate the cortisol levels, and that would completely make digestion
Impact
all
your
over the place.
digestion. Exactly. Exactly.
Uh, so Rabia, in terms of फंडिंग एंड स्केलिंग, कैसे कैसे किस किस स्टेज पे कैश क्रंच आया या कैसे मैनेज किया? एनी nuggets that you have here to share with people who are pursuing their passion in terms of founding their businesses? कैसे कहाँ कहाँ से possibly fund हो सकता है या कहाँ कहाँ से किया?
So, funding मैंने internally की थी for this restaurant. I had built enough savings from my catering and condiments to input into this as needed to build it up from where it was. And scaling or crunches, so definitely इस बात में पाकिस्तान is a very fickle market. आपका रमजान इतना affect करता है आपकी market को. आपका इधर उधर पॉलिटिकल इश्यूज हो जाए तो योर मार्केट इज वेरी अफेक्टेड. रिलीजियस हॉलीडेज इधर आती हैं, फ्लक्चुएट करती हैं, कोई और like there's so many elements. We experienced like mass inflation around the time of Imran Khan stepping out and all of that. So that really impacted the restaurant a lot. And there were times where we did have to pull out a little bit more to take care of the staff or this or that. But overall, we've always my father's always left me this idea of having that safety net within my business, built that into the pricing of each element so we could protect it a little bit more whenever needed. I think overall the big lesson has been that crunches come, but they don't define the business even as much as those highs do. You really have to find and believe in the middle part and how you can sustain that. Whether your middle is here or your middle is here, you decide that, and then you formulate your brand accordingly. We have to take a Ramzan hit no matter what happens, right? At the end of the day, people are not coming for lunch. So then, how can you modulate your business to work better? Now, Alhamdulillah, we will be able to expand into Ramzan practices too, since we have our catering with us on the side. But it's just about like just believing in that middle gap and not getting too caught up in the crunches or the peaks, and just being careful of when it's correct to pull out your profits and when it's correct to build back on it. Having that long term thinking is very very important, especially in the restaurant business. Things just move up and down so quickly.
Yeah, this is the wisdom तो I'm taking note of. What a great point you've mentioned कि अपना जो base center level है, focus on the center and take that center up rather than focusing on the troughs and the peaks. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that is amazing. And having a more like a long-term bird's eye view of your business rather than month to month or week to week
yeah,
view of this
yeah.
zoomed in. उसके अंदर तो things can be all over the place. Yeah, with
And
especially in
maintaining that focus of
Pakistan.
like why you have that business. So like for myself, if I just wanted to make blind money, I would be selling biryani. Like I would be selling tandoori rotis, because I know come rain, come shine, and everyone low and high will come and have that. The reason I'm here doing this is because there's some sort of greater purpose attached. So for me, that's my long term vision is okay, if it's not for my own reasons, it might be for the industry's sake, might be for, just a setup sake, whatever it may be. I have my long term vision. So I'm going to drive for it because I see it at the end. Because itni to capability hai na कि यहाँ तक आ गए हैं. It's that element. So I think
What
just
is
going
it?
with the flow. Hmm?
What is it when you look at 2025 to 2030 ka bracket of next 5 years? You were very right in reading what you were reading 5 years ago in terms of metrics and how the consumer preference and taste is evolving. अब आप क्या देख रहे हो द नेक्स्ट 5 years, किधर जा रहा है पाकिस्तान एंड द कंज्यूमर प्रेफरेंस एंड मार्केट?
So, जो word होता है tablecloth businesses will not be that relevant. For example, जो कि आपका सारा formalized settings for formal food वाली बात आ जाती है, that will be diminishing now, and you will see casual setup providing you high-end products coming in. So if you look abroad, take the model of a coffee shop. Right now, coffee shops are not like too fancy to go into or something like that. The more concrete and more dingy and blah, blah, blah that it is, it actually attracts a more prime customer. So we will see that coming into food as well. We will see more experimentation happening, and we will see, I hope, a higher price point from the consumer end, which allows that element of creativity from the producer's end. Now, like I love going to a place like Baked, and whatever have you in your respective cities, because it really provides you, okay, oh wow, if somebody is making kefir and kimchi and like these probiotic other uh, hosts of things, then there is that awareness within the market. So they are also doing the same thing. They are bringing that home, so that though people, when they step out of home, they expect something higher from a restaurant if they're paying that value. So I see a lot of that happening. Less of the services, everything, ambiance is everything. More on the product is what I see happening.
I think you're right. Absolutely. Bake has been a great uh, change in Lahore's culture in the last 1 to 2 years. And a lot of the people, like you mentioned as well, kimchi, there's a guy who makes nibble, which is
Hmm.
protein bars. They are
Protein bars, yeah.
also, yeah, एक दो आ चुके हैं podcast पे, kimchi वाले आने वाले हैं. So, these are, in January, about 15 or 20 of them are appearing as well. So we are understanding the same thing. There is a new Pakistan being built up, and customers are slowly, the consumer
Yeah,
preference is shifting towards their products. अब मुझे
yeah,
जब अपना ब्रेकफास्ट ग्रेनोला या सीरियल्स या ग्रीक योगर्ट लेना होता है, so I don't go for those pre-built Nestle's anymore. It's all gone.
yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
everything is coming from, किसी का ग्रीक योगर्ट आ रहा है, किसी की बार आ रही है, तो it's a very different world that is the new Pakistan that is being created.
What I really
And
hope we also
yeah.
see, I really, really hope as a Pakistani and a chef, is the use and innovation of Pakistani products in that realm as well. Abhi tak there is a division ke, oh, this is local, this is like, you'll have the gur shakar here, but you'll have the acacia Moroccan honey here, So we need to create that connection and awareness. And I hope that there is other chefs who think in this progressive way. And I know a few of them, so we're very excited for that movement as well.
Wow. And in terms of Rabia's product line, are we gonna see, as you said, more things around in Alfatas and Baked as well, or on your social media? Yeah, for the table, or for the table as a restaurant. How are you basically dividing between these two? Like, for the table is in the restaurant experience, while
Yeah.
your product line is at home. How do you prioritize in your mind? Where are you focused?
Well, my restaurant is the baby that's gonna drive everything. So I think for me
Okay.
that'll always be the driver and the focus of it. And the sauces will expand. Inshallah, we're going to Islamabad and Karachi soon, and also here at Al Fatah, inshallah, is already in the pipeline. And yeah, I will be taking it as it goes. It's a time for me that I worked hard to set up this brand and develop it to this stage, and now I get to see the creative tactics I want to put into it. So I'm
Right.
coming out with a really bomb sauce this week. I found proper smoked chipotles. I'm going to do a smoked chipotle sauce. It's going to be only at the restaurant. Haha. And
Book me
moving
in.
forward
Book
from there,
me
man.
in.
Yeah,
Book
yeah.
me in. I'm in. I'm in.
I'm
Definitely in.
also introducing like the first two things is this, and the other thing is the Tasters Club, because I do want to do some limited market testing. So I'll do that with some regular customers. So if you guys or anybody listening is a regular customer, reach out. Yeah, I'm gonna have some fun this year.
Oh, wow. What a beautiful statement to end it. What are you going to do this year? I'm going to have some fun this year.
I'm gonna
I
have some
love
fun.
it. This is cannot be better. Where can people find more about you? Is it the Instagram handle or anything else? You could just
Yeah,
mention your Instagram handle again.
my you guys can stay up to date with all these experiments and more and my Instagram page at Rabia Cooks. That is where I'll be sharing everything, and I've connected all my restaurants through that as well.
Beautiful. Done. Rabia, thank you so much for taking time out and sharing all this with us. I absolutely know the way your mind works is that there are thousand other topics that you want to be speaking on, and with the moment you replied on Instagram na, and that energy in your reply, and talking about mindsets and all, and now after listening to you, I've seen how your journey has been of Philippines chapter, a Canada chapter, then beach mein chote chote Dubai and China chapter. I think we are very happy to see that you chose to come back to Pakistan and actually
Thank you.
uh, play your part in building what we call the new Pakistan. We are very excited about it. This is we with like I mean can't even tell you how much every day me and our team are like like pumped up about how things are happening in Pakistan, and which is completely from ground up rather than top down. And
Hmm.
Gen millennials and Gen Z, they're like taking control. They're like, yeah, हमें तो करना है. Or our goal with Kaabil Kahani and the Kaabil dot school, the bigger community that behind this is basically to make it more easy and inspirational for people to understand कि यार कैसे करें. अगर किसी को फूड में जाना है तो आपकी स्टोरी है, किसी को क्लोथिंग में जाना है किसी और की स्टोरी है. Learn from the successful founders who were able to put their put basically get the wheel moving, and while they were moving the
Hmm.
wheel they were inventing and figuring out. So I think all of that and what you've shared is very valuable for us and all of us, and we'll be sharing with you as we publish it and convert it into case study, and there's a lot of plans around this. And
Awesome.
for
Awesome.
all of you guys listening, you can find of course with this podcast you can also find the case study on our website. You can find all sorts of other links under the video as well as in your email list wherever you're getting this.